speak today not just one voice, but as the echo of many, as the herald of truth, and as a vessel for the divine will. In this moment, let us cast away illusion. Let us stand firm in the light, and let us open ourselves to the wisdom that has been ordained from the beginning of time. May these words awaken, may they empower, and may they serve as a beacon for all who seek the path of righteousness and ascension. The time is now, the calling is clear. So let us begin. My beloved collective, there is something that every single one of us must come to understand with honesty and maturity. We all have a past. Every single one of us, no exceptions. No matter how awakened someone may appear today, no matter how disciplined or spiritually aligned they may now seem, there was once a period before that alignment took hold, before clarity, before purpose, before divine order settled into their lives. There are moments of confusion, moments of coping, moments where we search for relief in ways that do not truly serve our higher good and path. This is part of the human journey. The world often tells a false story about spiritual leaders, awakened individuals, or those walking in divine purpose. The world tries to create the illusion that such people were always perfect, always disciplined, always morally flawless from the very beginning. But that is not reality. Growth requires contrast. A person cannot truly understand alignment until they have experienced misalignment. One cannot truly understand clarity without first experiencing confusion. And one cannot fully embody discipline until they have known what it feels like to live without it. And so I speak openly to the collective, because truth is the only thing that liberates people, you see. Many individuals in the world cope with life's pressures and pains in different ways. Some turn to alcohol to quiet the mind. Some turn to drugs to escape emotional pain. Some bury themselves in destructive relationships because they fear loneliness. Others hide behind endless distractions, unhealthy habits, or environments that keep them temporarily comfortable but spiritually stagnant. These behaviors do not mean someone is evil. Often, they mean someone is searching for relief, searching for belonging, searching for peace they have not yet learned to create within themselves. And I will give you a personal example so the collective understands the truth clearly. There was a period in my life when I was introduced to drug use through a karmic relationship. Someone who entered my life during a time when I was still learning crucial spiritual lessons. The environment normalized certain behaviors. The people around me treated those behaviors as acceptable forms of coping, recreation, or escape. And I will not pretend otherwise. Yes, I engaged in it. Yes, at the time, I enjoyed it. But enjoyment does not mean something belongs in your life forever. Many things in life can feel pleasurable in the moment while still being incompatible with the person you are meant to become. When we are still navigating life without full awareness, we often adopt habits from our surroundings. We absorb behaviors from people we love and trust. We participate in activities that seem normal within our environment, even if those activities are not aligned with our higher future. But there comes a moment, a powerful moment, in every evolving soul's life when awareness begins to awaken. For me, that moment arrived when I began stepping in fully into my divine responsibility and spiritual identity. I began realizing that the path I was being called to walk demanded a higher level of discipline, clarity, and responsibility. When you begin rising into purpose, certain behaviors can no longer remain part of your life. By the grace of God, my Father, the Almighty, I call him Dad, there was a clear understanding of what I need to pursue. And eventually, my desire for drug use no longer became apparent, and it slowly disappeared. Not because you suddenly hate those things, but because they no longer match the life you're building, you see. And so I put those practices away. Not out of shame, not out of guilt, and certainly not out of fear of judgment. I put them away because alignment had entered my life. Once alignment arrives, your spirit begins reorganizing your reality. You begin recognizing that the habits you once tolerated no longer belong in your environment. The coping mechanisms you once relied on no longer feel necessary. The distractions that once consumed your time suddenly feels empty. This is the beginning of transformation. And the collective must understand something very important. Transformation does not mean pretending the past never happened. Transformation means learning from the past to choose differently moving forward. Many people around the world are currently navigating their own periods of misalignment. They are struggling with substance use because they are trying to numb emotional pain. Some are trapped in destructive relationships because they fear being alone. Some pursue constant validation through money, status, or social approval because they have not yet discovered their inner worth. Others engage in harmful patterns simply because those patterns were normalized within their communities or families. But here's the truth that the collective must remember. A person's past behaviors do not determine their future destiny. What determines their destiny is the moment they decide to evolve. There are people who once struggled with addiction who later become healers, helping others recover. There are individuals who once lived in chaotic relationships who later become examples of emotional maturity and stability. There are people who once participated in environments of manipulation, deception, or conflict who later decide or dedicate their lives to truth and justice. The difference between those who remain trapped in their past and those who transcended it is awareness followed by action. Once awareness arrives, change must follow. You cannot claim alignment while continuing to live in the same destructive patterns that once kept you stagnant. Growth requires courage. Growth requires honesty. Growth requires discipline. And sometimes growth requires letting go of things that once felt enjoyable but no longer serve your evolution. This applies not only to substances or coping habits, it applies to every area of life. A person who once used alcohol to avoid confronting emotional wounds may eventually realize that healing requires facing those wounds directly. Someone who once chased validation through attention or relationships may eventually discover that self-worth must come from within. A person who once manipulated situations to gain power may eventually learn that true authority comes from integrity and service. These realizations are part of spiritual maturation. Divinity is not about pretending you have never fallen. Divinity is about rising once you understand who you truly are. And I say this to the collective because many people live in shame about their past. They believe their mistakes define them forever. They believe their previous struggles disqualify them from living a purposeful life. But that belief is an illusion. Your past does not define your worth. Your past defines your lessons. Your lessons are the foundation of wisdom. The person you are today is not the same person you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, or 20 years ago. You have learned. You have grown. You have evolved. And if you continue walking in awareness, you will continue evolving. That is the beauty of the human journey. The path becomes evidence of how far you have traveled. It becomes proof of transformation. And this is why we must be careful not to judge people solely by the chapters they lived before awakening. Instead, we must observe who they choose to become once truth entered their life. Do they continue repeating destructive patterns, or do they rise? Do they remain trapped in coping mechanisms, or do they transform into pain into wisdom? Do they stay comfortable in misalignment, or do they discipline themselves to live differently? These are the questions that determine character. My beloved collective, every person standing in alignment today once lived through a period before alignment arrived, before clarity, before purpose, before divine awareness awakened within them. But once that awareness arrives, the responsibility shifts. The habits must change. The environment must change. The mindset must change. Because the person you are becoming cannot live the same life the old version of who you once lived. This is the true power of awakening. It transforms what once controlled you into something you have mastered. So never allow your past to become a prison. Let it become a teacher. Let it remind you of the distance you have traveled. I have a quote that I've developed in the wild past regarding transformation. It goes like this. I was once a child without meaning, but now I am the meaning that's no longer a child. The message obviously is clear. We all have a moment where we once felt like children that are walking aimlessly without guidance or support. But once we become who we are, the meaning, we become more than this child, more than just an aimless kid walking without alignment or with guidance. We become the understanding intrinsically of who we are, and that is valuable. So let it remind you of the strength it took to rise above environments, habits, and influences that once held you back. Because every evolving soul carries a past, but not every soul chooses to rise above it. The individuals who shape their future, the individuals who guide others, the individuals who embody transformation, are the ones who faced their past honestly and chose the higher life moving forward. And that is what the collective must continue doing. Learning, evolving, releasing what no longer serves us, and stepping forward into the higher version of ourselves that was always waiting to emerge. That is the journey of transformation, and that is the path of rising beyond the past. May the light of truth guide us. May the strength of the divine uphold us. And may the will of the Almighty be fulfilled in all that we do. Let our steps be firm, our hearts be pure, and our purpose unwavering as we walk the path of righteousness, unity, and ascension. And so it is written, so it is spoken, so it shall be. Ashe Samota be inshallah Selah Tadash too, and Amen.
TNTI Global Media, voice of the collective, light of the world.
Beloved chosen ones, we stand on the threshold of the next transformation. As your divinely appointed shepherd, as the sovereign on guard of every breath of these realms, I call you to rise.
Verobeatic Holy Bible, Chosen Collective Worldwide Edition.
In a realm where the celestial meets the terrestrial, two earth angels stand poised to transform the fate of humanity. Chosen by the Almighty, they are entrusted with a monumental task to elevate the collective frequency of humankind, heralding the dawn of the age of Aquarius. This new era signifies not just a shift in the heavens, but a profound awakening within the souls of individuals around the globe. These earth angels embody the essence of compassion, wisdom, and light. Drawing upon ancient texts and spiritual teachings, they channel universal energies that resonate deeply within the human experience. As they walk among us, they illuminate paths of love and understanding, weaving a tapestry of unity that transcends borders and divides. Their mission is to awaken the dormant potential within every person, encouraging them to embrace their authentic selves and contribute positively to the collective consciousness. The Age of Aquarius, characterized by innovation and communal harmony, beckons humanity towards a brighter future. The Earth Angels act as catalysts, igniting sparks of inspiration that lead to individual and collective transformation. Their presence resonates with the vibrations of progress and synchronicity, driving forward movements of social justice, environmental stewardship, and spiritual enlightenment. Through their guidance, people are encouraged to question long-held beliefs, embrace holistic perspectives, and foster a deep connection with the world around them. As these divine beings embark on their journey, they face challenges that test their resolve. The shadows of fear and doubt loom large, often creating resistance among those who struggle to accept change. Yet the Earth Angels persist, embodying unwavering faith and resilience. They offer support and encouragement to those who seek it, reminding humanity of its inherent strength and potential for greatness. In doing so, they create an environment where open hearts and minds can flourish, paving the way for global awakening. The time has come for humanity to rise and embrace its destiny, hand in hand with the Earth Angels. This powerful duo reminds us that we are all connected and that our thoughts, actions, and intentions contribute to the vibrational frequency of the planet. As the age of Aquarius unfolds, let us honor their calling by nurturing love and unity within ourselves and among one another. For together, we will create a world where light reigns supreme. This inspiring message is brought to you by the 144000 and the pioneering TNT Initiative, our race's universal hope. Welcome to the new age, the age of Aquarius.